What a disgusting display of betrayal that we're seeing from Joe Biden and his administration toward what ought to be our number one ally. And if I were an ally of the United States, I'd be really worried that the word of Joe Biden and his administration is as good as dirt.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was going to ask you what you thought of that, but I think you just gave us a clear answer. And I think many people agree with you. They're disgusted that he was planning to do this and then goes out and gives that speech on Tuesday.
Yeah, Governor, I'm wondering if you're one of these anti-Israel, pro-Hamas protesters that we've seen for the last month on college campuses. To me, I keep protesting because the Biden administration just cowed to their demands. So we've got 18, 19, 20-year-olds at Columbia and many other colleges and universities that are now basically dictating Biden foreign policy.
Yeah, it's just disgusting. You know, it used to be the policy of the U.S. was not to negotiate with terrorists. Now we simply surrender to them. I mean, we need just to call him Jihad Joe, because what he's done is to betray Israel in the most ridiculous way. And frankly, it's as if he put one hand in the hand of Bibi Netanyahu and shook his hand and said, "We're your friend." But in the other hand, he had a sharp knife and stuck it right in his back and said, "Yeah, but we're not really your friend. We're going to do what's best for my reelection. I need a few votes in Michigan." And I just find this so disgusting. And I wish that more Americans would recognize that Joe Biden ought not to be giving any military advice to anybody. This is the guy that ordered the botched withdrawal in Afghanistan that resulted in the death of 13 Americans. This is the same Joe Biden who was the only person in the Obama administration sitting in the Situation Room the night that Obama ordered the taking of Osama bin Laden. Joe Biden was the one guy in that room who voted no, don't do it. That's what Joe's brilliant military strategy is all about. And Bibi Netanyahu, the Israelis, and quite frankly, the American people shouldn't be looking to Joe Biden for how to execute a war. And what they're trying to do is save their lives in Israel. Yeah. This is not about taking their land. Hamas has repeatedly said that what they did on October 7th, they'll keep repeating it. You ought to take them seriously, Joe. And by the way, why don't you talk about the 5 American citizen hostages that these animals have kept since October the 7th? You haven't done a thing to try to force Hamas to let them go. I just find this enraging.
Yeah, you know, enemies stab you in the back, friends stab you in the front, Governor.
Yeah. Well, they don't stab you at all.
Yeah,
yeah, they
exactly.
don't stab you at all.
But
Friends stick with you.
And I give Netanyahu a lot of credit for his comments yesterday. He said, fine, if the U.S. isn't going to back us, we're going to go it alone. But there are up to a couple thousand Hamas terrorists in Rafah, this tiny little city in southern Gaza. The IDF's going in, whether these protesters like it or not. Governor, I want to get your opinion on something that Joe Biden said in sort of a flip way, but he said when asked about debating, he basically said, look, just set it up. Take a listen. All right, so the president, when asked if he would debate, he said, set it up. I'm wondering if you take that seriously, if you think we will see multiple Trump-Biden debates, where, who moderates, what's the best format for both Trump and Biden, town hall, or, you know, the standard moderator format. It seems like we're going to see at least one debate between Trump and Biden.
Well, I hope that they can inject Joe with enough stuff to keep him up that late. Who knows whether he will actually debate? I think it would be quite the spectacle, but I would hope that it's not done by some moderator who usually is selected so that they can put their hand on the scale. It ought to just be the two of them on stage, and each of them get a clock, and they get to time themselves for how much time they get. They take on any topic they want. They challenge each other. They speak to each other, and they speak to the American people. These are two people running for president. They don't need a babysitter in the form of a moderator sitting there pitching softball questions to Joe and trying to correct Donald Trump like the moderators did back in 2020. I find that whole format disgusting, unacceptable, and I wish that both candidates would simply show up and debate like two men running for the presidency of the United States.
That's such a good point.
I like those ideas.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. I heard somebody mention Jen Psaki, and then everybody laughed when her name was brought up as a moderator. And I'm like, that's not that far out of the realm of possibility. George Stephanopoulos have done these, and he worked for Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
So who's to say that Jen Psaki wouldn't be chosen to moderate a debate and she worked for Joe Biden?